Hey guys, it's Tina from Quantum Healing with Tina and Karen. I'm a Beyond Quantum Healing practitioner, spirit releasement therapist, intuitive empath. And today we're here with Karen.
Hello, everybody. I'm Karen, intuitive starseed, energetic healer, PQH practitioner, channel medium, and remote spirit release practitioner. Welcome.
Welcome. Yeah, so today I just wanted to talk a little bit about, just some things like we've been questioning our own beliefs, questioning really everything. Um,
Yeah.
and something really important to talk about too is spiritual protection,
Mm-hmm.
because it seems as if the energies are really ramping up and people are being targeted more and more and more, and more beings are posing as false light beings and getting into people's fields and causing all kinds of destruction and havoc. And I want to show you this video, which is pretty wild that this was caught on camera. I hope you can see it. You can see an entity jumping out of someone and jumping into someone as they're walking by each other on the street. This was caught on like a CCTV camera. Can you see that?
Mm-hmm.
You could see that he felt it too by the way he moved.
Right.
Did you see it? Can you see it?
Yeah.
I'm going to play it again.
Mm.
Wow. One more time.
And even if this is not real, I mean, the concept is real. And people need to understand how energy works, and that, yeah, you have to learn how to protect yourself, because there's so much more bombardment that we've been seeing in our RSRs, and how things are just coming in the field. Like we have a tendency of seeing like people just, in their like the outer etheric fields, and they're just like bombarded by all these energies that have like that they've picked up from passerbys, from other people's thought forms, their environment, their own stuff too, that just gets stuck there, and then it attracts things. So yeah, protection is so important.
Yeah. And not engaging with beings. There is such a thing as too much of a good thing.
Right.
We just worked with somebody that has been meditating like 15 hours a day,
Right.
and saw that he was tricked by Pleiadians, well, beings that were posing as Pleiadians and ended up being actually reptilians.
Right.
And they tricked him into thinking that he was working for the light and going into battle with dark beings. And so then his field was completely infiltrated by negative ETs, reptiles. What else was there? Like
Well, in the background there
mantis.
were like, yeah, there's mantis beings. I didn't feel so many grays per se, but I mean like, but I did feel like in the background there was like satanic and demonic things, but not in the immediate space itself. But then in the house there was like tons of satanic and demonic stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then his whole field, his whole actual physical body was completely, literally riddled with implants.
Yeah.
They were plugging into his spine. And that's once they take over the spine, like it's hard to come back from that. So this is why protection is so important. And this is why we talk so much about it. Not only protecting your field, but having a daily clearing practice where you're clearing all of the energy that you picked up during the day, because these things tend to stick, and over time they accumulate in our field, especially if you're super sensitive and empathic. We have the tendency to kind of store everybody's stuff, um,
Mm-hmm.
thought forms, and just energy in general. I mean, we can even pick up entities from other people if we're super sensitive. And
Hmm.
this is why it's like really important to have a daily clearing, grounding, and protection ritual at least twice a day, like at least twice a day. Like as soon as you wake up in the morning, it's important to reinforce your shield. So create a shield for yourself and then begin reinforcing that. What I like to do for my shield is I I imagine my shield from my own I am source light within my heart, creating this shield around me, at least like 6 feet in all directions. Um, and then I put spikes on the outside, uh, with the intention that those spikes will disintegrate and transmute any kind of negative energy that comes into my field, whether that's an entity or otherwise, and
Hmm.
send them back to source. And so then I charge my shield, to reinforce it every time I think about it with either sunlight. The sunlight seems to work really well. Like I can see the whole thing like light up and kind of like vibrate. Um,
Hmm.
or I use my own I am source light from my own heart space to create that. Um, Another important point about protection is to not rely on things outside of yourself, not
Right.
archangels, not guides, no one. And this is like where we're coming to now in understanding what being sovereign means and understanding our power and that we don't have to rely on things outside of ourselves. Um, and really taking responsibility for ourselves without having to even ask other spiritual beings to protect us, because right now it's so easy to be tricked by spirit beings. um, just like we saw with this person being tricked by these so-called Pleiadians who were really reptilians. And he thought he was working for the light and then got almost completely overtaken.
Right. Yeah. That was a pretty bad. It was pretty bad.
Yeah, yeah. And this is how, like, they're very, very, very intelligent. Like, they know what they're doing. They know us like better than we know ourselves. They know what's going to suck us in. They know how to
Hmm.
play into the ego to make you feel special, to make you feel like you're doing good work. And
Yeah.
this is why it's so important to sharpen our discernment.
Right.
Um,
And you got to be aware of your own spiritual ego. You know, that's the thing.
yeah,
If you're a little arrogant about it, like, or thinking that other people don't understand what you're talking about or whatever, like, check yourself.
yeah, yeah. Um, Yeah. And so I just wanted to reiterate that that really protection and discernment is really important right now. I mean, as you can see on that video, that's how easy it is to pick something up. Um, and then that can cause all kinds of stuff in your life, whether that's physical, emotional symptoms, addictions. Um, some of these entities can even cause mental illness, you know? So yeah. And then, doing the same thing before bedtime or having a clearing routine where you just, having the intention to clear all the energy that you picked up for the day, and then calling back all parts of yourself that you may have left behind. So imagining all of your energy returning to you like a reverse starburst. So all of your little pieces that you left behind during the day coming back in, having the intention of clearing, even placing yourself in the violet flame and allowing that flame to burn away all energy that is not of me. So all energy that I may have picked up during the day that is not mine, you're going to burn that away or send it back to its owner, because it's not yours to take on. You're not here to take on everybody's stuff. You're here to deal with your own stuff, and that's it. And that's what being sovereign is. But when we're just walking around the world with an open field, we just let anything in. We don't have boundaries, and it just starts to accumulate in our field, and it can start to feel really heavy and weigh us down and really affect us in our everyday life. So I wrote an article on how to like clear, ground, and protect that I'll link below with some tips in there. And there is no wrong or right way to do it as long as you use your imagination. Our imagination is our connection to source. It's how we create. So, whatever makes you feel protected. Um, you can create like a diamond around you or a steel bubble or whatever makes you feel safe. What do you use, Kara?
Oh, I have this whole thing. Like, um, yeah, I have a whole method. It takes half an hour for me to do it. So, yeah. Um, because usually when I do the protection, I include our kids and you're there and I have Coco and our dog and there's a method. I mean, like I even to the point where we sit down in our spots and then we put our feet in the spots and then I turn on the switch and I take out the roots
Well,
and then I
tell
put
tell us tell us your whole thing from start to finish.
okay. Well, that's part of it.
So where
So
are
we have
we when you're doing this?
it depends what I'm listening to, but
So you put on
usually
music to listen to.
yeah, I listen to music. Um lately it's been 528 hertz relaxing music. So there's one, I don't know, I just get whatever I'm called to. Whatever is more like relaxing or allows me to envision more. If it's something new and I don't resonate with it, I turn it off and I find something until I feel the myself plug in, you
That's
know?
a good point because you have to be careful what you're listening to as far as like the frequencies on YouTube with solfeggio frequencies and stuff, because people can place manipulations in those frequencies.
Yeah. So I listen and if I don't feel it, I don't connect. It'll take longer. So then I find something until I feel good. And then usually like the ones that I really like, I'll just like them and then I'll re-listen to them or I'll switch around. So yeah, I there's usually like four chairs and then a little place for our little dog next to Tina and our son Buggy. And yeah, so we end up sitting down in the chairs and then we put our feet in these like foot pads. And then when they're connected, there's a switch that turns on. And when the switch turns on, our roots come out of our feet. So I see the roots coming out of our feet and they start to intertwine. When they start to intertwine, I put in the funnel up top too and turn on the not the violet flame, the black flame. And then I turn the switch off. And then we put on our armor of God, each one, and we click them all in. And then I put on the dome on top, our individual domes on top of each other. And then I turn on the violet flame grill that's under our ass, and that activates the armor of God. So I see that it's certified on each one. And then when that's done, I put the invisibility cloak on each dome, and then the flower of life on each dome. And then I connect me and Tina's love energy, and we put that on top, and that's usually a purpley pink blue fusion on each dome. So there's four. And then we go into a steel dome of and that's also in violet flame. And then and then black flame too on top, and then another invisibility cloak and flower of life on top, and then our love energy on top again to seal it. And then I put that in a steel dome full of violet flame inside and outside, putting that inside of a diamond full of violet flame inside and outside, putting that in a steel dome with a vortex of water, air, um, earth, and fire on the outside, putting that in a steel dome of high vibrational sounds encapsulated by pearl and pearlescent energy, glass, no, sorry, mirrors, and then negative energy proof glass. And then this is a joke between Tina and I, but KY jelly on the outside, and then spikes and blades everywhere, invisibility cloak, more spikes and blades, invisibility cloak, black flame, rose gold flame, Christ light, like golden whatever light. And then I bring that into the mountain. So we place it in a mountain. There's always next to a big grandfather tree on the side. And then I turn on the switch, and then the roots and the roots in the funnel go all the way down, and that's where the black flame goes all the way down. It follows it till we are anchored into the 5D grid. And then I've also adopted the golden hand on all our backsides, and I make sure that we inhale, and then we allow our light to encapsulate us. So each of us have to do it until it's full, and then I ramp up the love energy in the space, and then we detonate. So then that goes through the whole land that we're on, and that's it. Sorry, it takes a half hour, but it's very visual for me. So I was just going very quickly, but I'm very meticulous.
That's amazing.
Yeah, thanks.
So you don't do that. Do you do that when you wake up in the morning?
When I
Or do
wake
you
up in
just
the
do that
morning,
before sessions?
usually before heavy duty sessions, definitely. Like any RSR, I will definitely do. Depending on if I sense that the client that we're going to speak to during let's say a talk or what do you call it, like a mentorship or something, if I feel it, like I'll feel into them, I might do a heavy duty protection like that. It
Mhm.
really depends. And but in the morning, mainly what I do is I just come fully and completely into my body, and I just protect myself with like my steel thing and an invisibility cloak
Mhm.
and fire if anything. But as long as I'm grounded and in my body, I feel pretty confident about that. But when it comes to like the things that we don't know what we're gonna see in session, I'd like to make sure that us and our kids and our dog are good.
Right. Yeah. So that's how simple or how complicated it can be.
Yeah.
Like for your just daily protection, you just put on your steel dome and your invisibility cloak and
I feel
you
good
feel
like that. I
grounded.
grounded. I want to make sure I'm grounded for sure because if you're airy and or if I have a headache, I don't like to get up right away. I like to control the headache first because that takes me out of body.
Mm, mhm. And
So
why
I'm
do you have
very
a headache in the morning?
sorry.
Why would you have a headache in the morning?
Oh, probably from psychic attacks from the night, like whatever attacks that come at night, or if I have weird dreams, or which has been happening a lot lately. So, also, even though sometimes I can drink all day, I have like water and drinking, I'll for whatever reason become extremely dehydrated, like all of a sudden, and then that gives me a headache. Like I feel like as if they suck that water energy out of me. It's weird. I don't know how to explain it.
Hmm.
That's been happening lately. So I've been like drinking tons of water,
Hmm.
but I feel like as if I'm a prune in the morning,
Hmm.
even though I drink during in the middle of the night, It's
Hmm.
weird.
Yeah, I'm talking about sleeping and dreaming. That's a big subject too, because of a lot of things we've been learning about what actually can happen while we're sleeping and dreaming. Um, one of those things are these like holographic sleep programs that they will place into us to make us dream something traumatic or something violent. So traumatic and violent dreams sometimes associated like with sexual kind of energies,
Yeah.
murder, just violence.
Yeah, I had some weird dreams last night too. A lot of shape shifting. I saw a lot of people in my dreams. And yeah, shape shifting. And I was telling Tina that I woke up or like my consciousness came in. So it's like right in between, like where you're awake and asleep. And I was feeling as if I was being injected of fear in my body. So I felt like a surge of fear coming in, but it that awareness kicked in, and it was as if it was like it went back down because it was fully going through. But yeah, I felt myself getting scared, but then after that I was like, no, that's an attack. Like that's fucked. No, and it stopped.
Hmm. Yeah, but because your awareness will stop it. But that's what they don't. So you probably woke up in the middle of them like doing that, you know?
Yeah, and I woke up with a funny belly button thing. Like my belly button was got like it's very sore inside.
We probably need to do a scan on that to make sure there's
Okay.
not nothing that came through from, because this is the point. So they will traumatize you in your dreams in order for that to, so even if you don't remember it, because a lot of times they'll wipe your memory, even if you don't remember it, your subconscious remembers it, and that affects your vibration, in your daily life. So this
Mhm.
is how they manipulate us through our dreams and psychically attack us. Because the thing is, what we've learned is that the astral body, um, which we've been taught that this is how we travel. We travel with our astral body. But what we've um, learned is that the astral body is really a manipulation.
Yeah,
And
and like a magnet for like all kinds of shit in the lower dimensions.
yeah, so when we dream at night, we can very easily slip into, the fourth dimension is the lower astral. So when we go into the lower astral realm, that this is where all of these negative beings and all kinds of weird stuff goes on.
Hmm.
So when our astral body is traveling there, it can easily pick up all of these kinds of implants, devices, infringements, programs, entities. And when it comes back into the body, then you have to deal with that. Um, so this is how we were getting attacked a lot through dream time, through sleep time. Um, and what we learned also is that we can have more than one astral body. So there could be, six astral bodies out there floating around, all picking stuff up at the same time, and then coming back into the body and bringing it all back.
Yeah.
Um,
So if you feel like fatigued when you wake up, it's because you're so busy and you're picking up all these dense energies in the lower realms.
right. Right. So what we started to do was you can actually have an astral body removal. We haven't done that yet. Still thinking about it, but we've had the overlay removed. So there's like overlays like over our natural things, like an overlay over the astral body and overlay even in the organs. There are overlays where these entities can hook in, all kinds of different overlays. Um, So what we started to do was, command the astral bodies to stay in the physical body and not travel.
Mm-hmm.
So having that intention before sleep, just saying like, I command my astral bodies not to leave my physical body and travel. I do not consent to traveling because we can travel with our consciousness. We don't need it. Like if we have work to do in the higher realms, we can travel with our consciousness. We can project our consciousness. We don't need to travel with the astral body. That's a distortion. So yeah, you can like have the intention before sleeping of saying like, I do not consent to traveling. I will only travel to the higher dimensions if I do travel. I will project my consciousness into the higher dimensions, but I will not travel into the lower astral because that's where a lot of these things happen. Um, yeah, we had a client the other day who's super aware of this kind of stuff too. And she was talking about some of the things that they were, because she had just had healing, like a lot of healing RSR and a really profound BQH session. And like that night or a couple nights following, they were trying to like insert her with these violent dreams or whatever really dreams are. We really don't know for sure. Um, but it's almost like they insert this kind of like program to cause you trauma in your sleep.
Right.
So they inserted her with this really violent dream, hoping that it would take hold the next day and she would feel emotional about it, and then that lowers your vibration, and then that makes it easier for these entities to then affect you even more. Um, so yeah, there's a lot to learn. We've learned a lot over the past, what, year and a half that we've been
Yeah.
doing RSR. Even that the chakras are an overlay, like there are overlays on the chakras. I had my chakras removed. Well, they call it chakra removal, but it's really like, how do you say that? It's like so the overlays are removed. There's like overlays over these energy centers, like a manipulation. So those overlays are removed. And then the energy centers are, we have natural energy centers in our head, heart, and pelvis. They're called, I think, Dantian points. There are natural energy centers. The chakras are a manipulation where these entities can hook in, right? And everybody's always, worrying about like clearing the chakras, and this is why, because if there's stuff trapped in there, entities can easily hook into that, and that's like their way in. And ever since I had my chakras removed, oh, that's like a mosquito. Where did you come from? um God, where did that go? What was I saying?
Ever since you got your chakras removed.
Yeah, like it stops like negative looping thoughts, and um it gives you energy. Like I feel like more energetic than when I had chakras, because it's like, if you think about it, it splits up your energy system into all these, it's separation, right? And I feel like when I read about chakra removal, it just clicked for me. I was like, yes, this makes sense, because it feels like an old system, right? Like it doesn't make sense that our energy is all separated within us. Like when I imagine myself, I think of just a channel,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like why do we have to have all of these separate things? It's just like, it feels like more separation to me. So when I read about it, it felt so resonant for me, because it feels natural. It feels like this is how our body is supposed to function, like with a natural energy center and not all of this separated energy, you know? And
Mm-hmm.
it also, there's like plugs from the chakras that plug into the matrix.
Mm.
And you just got yours removed recently. How do you feel since then?
I felt good for the first couple of days, and then back to stuff. I don't feel like I have the looping thoughts as much as I used to. That's definitely something that I've been aware of. Um, just keeping myself in check a lot. I do. I don't know about the whole sleeping thing. That seems to be the same, but I'm tired a lot. I guess also because the energies too, and the work that we're doing too. It's a little
Yeah.
bit of everything. Um, I don't know. Lighter, I guess.
Well, it takes time to integrate too,
Yeah, they said,
and to like build the three energy centers.
yeah.
Yeah.
But overall, like, okay, like, not bad.
Yeah. Well, yeah, there's a lot going on in sleep, but which I think is related to the astral body.
Yeah. Apparently they removed those overlays, but I don't know.
Right, the overlays are removed, but the body can still travel, you know.
Yeah. Even though I demand that they not at night. I mean, it's just, I don't know. It's such a mystery about, there's nothing perfect about what, you can only do so much with what you're aware of and what you can do until we do learn more things along the way. Um, but we're taking precaution. We're taking our own, what we can and what we do know for protection. Because, like, I do demand that we not be manipulated in our sleep, that we are not siphoned of our energy or sexual energy, that we are not abducted, that we are not, what's the other stuff? There's
Remote
other,
viewers.
yeah, no remote viewers. I also don't consent to being in contact with any dark force entities, negative ETs, what's it called? Wait, negative ETs, artificial intelligence, super soldiers, earthbound souls, um, demonic energies, satanic energies, or any beings that are being manipulated by a dark agenda. Like, that's pretty basic. Um, like, I just try to, like, be very, like, as clear and also as broad, like any being that is not of love. So genuine love, organic genuine love.
Organic love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, we just have to do our best and hope. I don't know. Like, I don't get bothered. Like, but it's just, sometimes you feel it and you can't really beat yourself up in the morning if you were psychically attacked, even though you had asked. It's just kind of like, well, I think it would be worse if you didn't. Maybe. Like, I just find it's just because we do the work that we do that we're targets already. And
Right.
we have the resources to clear ourselves or to get what we need, to have clean slate or whatever it is. So, I mean, it's our responsibility too to clear ourselves and take care of ourselves energetically and not to be negligent about it. Because if you get lazy, then you're just inviting these kind of things to come in. And I'd rather be responsible about it because, again, what you cannot see, you don't know, like, what they're going to do. So it's better not to screw around with that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, some people are targeted more than others, and definitely people that are doing this kind of work in helping people to clear their entities are definitely targeted more than, somebody who's not. Light workers are targeted, and yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
so thirsty.
but yeah, me too. But the other thing too is, well, we mentioned like working with healers in the other video, or even engaging like online, watching videos of other people who are channeling light beings and stuff like that. Um, if that healer or that channeler is not checking those beings to make sure that they are who they say they are, they could be imposter beings, just like those Pleiadians who were really reptilian beings, you know? Um, and so when you work with healers, you want to make sure that they're verifying the beings that they're working with, that they are true and genuine and hopefully of the Christed light. And when I say Christed light, I mean what our guides have explained to us is the Christed light is balanced light. So usually they're beings that have lived earthly lives before, and have ascended, and so they know how to balance the spiritual with the physical.
Mm-hmm.
There are other energies like, satanic and demonic energies over here on this end. Then there are other energies over here on this end that are Luciferian, that it's all light and only light. There's no darkness here, but this is also a distortion because there's no balance. So the best place to be is in the middle. When you're human, at least, it's the best place to be is here in the middle, with the Christed light, which means balanced light. So Christed light, it refers to, it's not just meaning Jesus. Um, we don't even really know if Jesus was a real person or not, but it's an energy, it's an avatar, it's a archetype. It's an archetype. The Christed light, the energy of Jesus. Jesus is an archetype, like Buddha, and all the ones that came before him. It's this archetype of this embodiment of the Christed light, which is the balanced light, which is, it can be human and spiritual in equal balance. Um, so yeah, and that's what our guides have taught us. And it's really important to find balance right now because there's so much distortion. It's like these um these new philosophies, or whatever it is, these things start to bubble up. So say the new age philosophy and thought starts to bubble up, say in the early 1900s. And as far as I can have researched so far, this was started by a group of people who were dabbling in Satanism. So yeah. So we're just seeing right now, kind of through a lot of this, a lot of the new age thought and philosophy has become its own religion. And
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of like they placed that there because they knew that people were going to be turning away from the traditional church and traditional religion. So they placed it as another way to trap people as they were coming out of the other trap. It's like another trap. So they set these traps for people. Really good-hearted light people, but people that can sometimes be a little bit naive because they sometimes believe in only light and aren't so aware of what happens in the darkness. And it's our ignorance that gets us trapped in these things. When we don't have the consciousness, when we don't have the awareness that these things are happening, they're really easy to get trapped in because they feel good. They
Right.
feel
I
like
think they don't need to see
spiritual.
the darkness if you are just illuminating light, you don't have to look at stuff. Or they're scared of it, so I'm just gonna look somewhere else and vibrate higher. So I don't have to, I get, I fly away from it.
Right. And we got sucked into that for a little while too. Um, I definitely did, and because they make you almost feel guilty about looking at the darkness. So what would the darkness want, more than anything? They don't want you to look at them.
Yeah. So, because then you can't blast light onto them.
Right. So what a great manipulation,
Yeah.
is to kind of create this new religion where it's like, they make you believe that if you're focusing on anything negative, that you're creating more of that negativity, or
Right. Or that means if you look at it or you focus on this stuff and it makes you feel a certain way, then your vibration is going to go down and you're not vibrating high enough, and you're not helping the collective and you're not doing anything good because you're focusing so much on this negativity, and therefore if you focus there you are creating it.
Mhm,
you know
mhm,
it's very yeah, it's very specific and manipulative,
mhm,
because then it makes you feel guilty
mhm.
if you actually go inward. They don't want you to go inward. They want you to get away from that so that you can just kind of put your band-aid on and ignore it and just focus on the good times. The good,
Right.
yeah.
Because it's like because they teach you, if it doesn't feel good to you, then stay away from it.
Yeah. Because then
It doesn't,
yeah, again, your
everything has to
vibration is
feel good.
everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, vibration is everything.
Yeah.
So you got to vibrate higher, vibrate away from there. Don't
Mhm.
look at that. It doesn't feel good. So therefore, you might stay there and therefore you're going to bring it all down. But it, I mean, think about it.
What
It's,
a perfect, like, what
yeah.
a perfect agenda,
And you know how many times I've been told that by others? I'd rather not, because like I need to raise my vibration. We really need to raise our vibration and vibrate higher. I just don't want to be in a lower vibration with the rest of them. I want to vibrate higher. I want to feel good. I don't want to feel that. I want to feel good. But it's a
But that's
cycle.
bypassing. So then we're
Yeah.
bypassing, right? We're bypassing the issues that we need to look at. We're bypassing and looking the other way with all of the corrupt uh everything. Just
Right.
all of the corrupt everything in the world,
Yeah.
the
We're just not
abuse and the
looking.
violence and the trauma, and no, it doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good. But
Right.
the people that are, that's what courage is. It's looking at the things, it's dealing with the things that don't feel good. No one likes it, it's not easy to go into the depths of the darkness, but it's necessary in order to shine a freaking light on it finally. It's been
Right.
hiding for millennia. It's literally been hiding for millennia, and now is the time where we get to finally look at it and stare it in the face and do something about it.
Hmm. Yeah, definitely. Within the community itself, I mean, apart from that, there's a lot of other things too. You're in a, let's say, what do you call it? What was it? The gifted and talented people? Like, this is another community, like with the love and light people. It's just like, oh, what are your gifts? And then you get threatened by someone else's gifts because their gifts are much more bigger than yours. And oh, you channel those people or those beings? That's not, I can't channel. So again, I feel inferior, and there's like a jealousy thing going on, and like people are expanding faster than I am, and they're yeah, they're like close to their avatar and they've met their star family and all this shit, and it's like it's a competition about who gets to the light faster. Like, that's what it's become, and your gifts are this, and oh no, but I'm like a Jedi. Like, it's just is just be fucking human and do it your best. Like, can
Yeah,
you look at the dark though? That's what I challenge all those fucking love and lighters. Can you look at your shadows?
right.
That's pretty fucking badass.
Right. Well, again, it's that spiritual ego. It's the ego. Like,
Oh god, yeah. There's a huge big spiritual ego out there. There's a collective ego in the spiritual community. like that is separating them from the sheeple that they like to call others, the sheeple.
Yeah.
Sheeple and, you
The
know,
enlightened ones.
yeah, you're so enlightened. Like it's the same. Like you look at each other the same,
Right. And
you
this
know?
is where we need to find balance because there is such a thing as being too spiritual because then you're not grounded. So we're talking about grounded spirituality.
Human and spiritual. Like, I mean, finding that part. I mean, really we're here literally, like let's look at it like literally. We are literally in our bodies, literally on the earth, literally with a soul in this vessel. So how do we balance all of it?
Right. Right. And working with the Christed energies will assist you in balancing. You don't need to work with specific beings. I don't recommend working with any specific beings, at least right now,
Yeah, at this time.
unless you have like top-notch discernment, like top-notch discernment,
Right. Because
because
even for us, I mean, like our discernment is good, but I still like at this point, I'm still kind of like right now, I'm not trusting anything at this time. Like I am to a certain degree, but it's very specific who I permit in my field and who I decide to work with.
right,
Yeah.
right,
That is just a responsibility I'm choosing to take at this time. Because until I get, feel a little more comfortable with what comes in, like today we did like a clearing and, I invited one of the angels or archangels or Christiel, which is like Tina's like guide type thing. And I had to chop her up. She told me, she's like, chop her up. And I was like, I already chopped her up. Like, so it literally is. I just like chop them until.
with your sword. So first of all, before we, if any of you have had an RSR, maybe you have, or maybe you haven't heard us verify the guides, but um, there's an 11-step verification process before we even connect with the guides. And one of our other, we should do a video about how to do that. Um, but one of our other techniques is, you take your sword and actually chop them up, like Karen said, and see, a true light being will come back together again. If they're not real, they will just disappear. Um,
Mhm.
so that's another way to verify. But yeah, I mean, we have to be really careful about who we're connecting with, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So yeah, if again you get caught like in the spiritual community, you get caught into, well, I contact, the 12D beings in Timbuktu star, and then the other ones were like, well, I contact the 25D over there in, whatever in the other constellation. And then but are you checking? Are you checking them like to see? Because I mean, they could tell you that they're from XD star or whatever, but like I could tell you that too, and I'll just be lying. Like you can't trust them just because they say they're light. That they
Right.
are light.
Right. Right. And the other part of that is like always, this is again like about sovereignty and always trusting things outside of ourselves more than we trust ourselves. You know,
Yeah, I think
and
that's a hard concept to understand because a lot of people are still in their savior stuff, like looking for something outside of them to bypass. It's just like how people say, well, my guide said that I shouldn't do that because it's not good. When it's just like, take your guide out. Was that really your opinion? Like you don't want to do it, or it's easier for people to say like, oh, okay, well, Sally can't because her guide said that, as opposed to Sally can't because she doesn't want to.
right, right. That's
It's like
another
your guide.
form of bypassing.
Yeah, like
Another
my
form of
guide
bypass.
said
Oh,
that.
I connect. I've seen this a lot, a lot, a lot, a lot.
Yeah, it's stupid.
I connected
Sorry.
with my guides and they said I shouldn't do that. And I'm like,
Right. It's like find your authentic voice. This is the whole thing about the whole one pipe thing. Authenticity is really what it's all called to. And just because you're spiritual, you could still have your authentic voice. Like if these guides, if your outside guides, they are a part of you technically. So it is your voice. It's
right,
not theirs. It's
right.
not their advice. It's your really inner feeling. Like I don't feel called to do that. And I would respect that more than someone saying, well, my guide said that I shouldn't because it's not in alignment with me. Well, you not wanting to do it is you're not aligned with it, and that's cool. Like I respect that. That's true. That's truth.
That feels real.
Yeah, I'd rather that than just having to be like, oh, okay, I didn't know your guide said that.
Yeah.
Your guide told you not to get that, order those chow mein. Like, whatever. It's just dumb. Like, sorry, it is. I know that's judgy, but yeah, no,
But
I am judging. That's real.
that's real. But it's another way to bypass what we are not comfortable saying for ourselves. So instead of saying, I'm sorry, I don't feel aligned with this specific thing, we pass it off onto our guides and put it on them, like,
Right. And it's just like, oh God, that irritates me because it's like for us, like because of how much work we've done on the inside, we've been able to make more space inside for expansion. But so we could see right through that shit. Like we could see right through people, and it's just like, really, your guide said that? Like I could feel right through that answer, and it's like,
right.
no, that's just you saying that to
And
protect
that's
yourself.
why that's why it's so difficult for me not to be authentic and honest, because I can see right through it. So I can see right through it. So then I think that everybody can see when I'm not being authentic and honest,
Just me.
because I can see it,
You know,
It feels
I
so
know.
icky to me.
Yeah, and it's so obvious. It's just that we're so like, okay, you know what? People are on their own journey, and if they need to do that right now, they're in a place where they can't be honest with themselves. They don't trust their one pipe yet. They're not in their full power yet,
Right,
which I
right.
totally get, you know.
Yeah, because we've
It's
been there.
just easier. Yeah, it's just easier to say like, bypassing that way.
Yeah.
They probably do genuinely believe their guides have said that. It's just that they don't recognize yet that they are one, that they are that voice. So
Right.
it's just again, you're not in your full power, so therefore you're going to put on your guide to decline your invite.
Yeah.
Whereas when you are fully in your power, it's really just no, it's all good. Like no, I'm not available or whatever.
I don't want to do that. No is a complete answer, right? No, I
Yeah.
don't want to do
But
that.
then it's like
Sorry.
people, they're just like, well, I feel like I have to give her like an explanation. Yeah, in an old matrix.
Right. In
You
the
don't
old
have to give an
matrix.
explanation. If they ask you why, it's really none of your fucking business, dude. That's also
Right. But
complete judging.
another authentically spiritual person will respect your no.
Yeah, exactly. It'll just be like, all
They'll know
right.
you, like, you won't, like, an authentically spiritual person will not expect you to have to explain yourself.
Yeah. And explaining yourself is actually a trauma response, just so you know.
Thank you for adding that.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
I used to do it all the time. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's I used to do it all the fucking time. It is a trauma response because it's like you are scared or you don't feel like your justification or you have to justify yourself so that you don't get in trouble or you feel like you're going to get in trouble,
Mhm.
you know?
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
totally. I would give oh god, I would give like a whole fucking explanation.
Me too.
I used to like when I would call out, I'd be like, "Oh, I can't. I have diarrhea." Like I would literally tell the boss that I had diarrhea. When it's just like, "I'm not coming in today."
Yeah, I remember, like, when people used to ask me to, like, do things I didn't want to do, and I would get all triggered and like,
Yeah,
oh
like
God, how am I gonna turn this down? And like start making up stories, like, for
yeah.
why you can't do it. It's just really
Yeah,
saying, "No, I'm
it's
sorry, I can't." Like, it's that easy.
exactly. And it's so easy when you get used to the idea. I remember the first time I said no, and I just kind of left it at that, and I felt my body get hot and bothered, and I was like, "Oh my God, like they're gonna like not like me, or I don't want them to not like me. I just don't want to, you know." And then nothing happened, and then I
Right.
was like, easy. Like, don't worry about it, Karen. And I was like, really? Like,
Really? You don't hate me now?
yeah, like, oh, you're actually calling me, you're not mad at me, you know?
Yeah.
But whereas if the roles were reversed and someone said no to me, I would be like, okay, no problem. So it's like, why didn't we project ourselves with when things like that? But then it's like, it's weird, right?
Yeah, but when we become aware of our responses, then we do. We it's like because that's what I used to do. I used to think about, well, if that was me, like I wouldn't care.
Give a shit.
Right.
Yeah.
So why am I so like wound up because
Yeah, because
it's
there are
my
some
own
people
trauma.
that
It's my own
do give a shit, but it is their own shit.
right.
It is their own stuff. So again, it's recognizing that when you can be clear, it's just like when Tina was teaching me how to argue with a narcissist. It's like you got to stick to the point. You got to stick to their point because they're going to throw you some word salad there to confuse the shit out of you, to keep you off guard so that you don't stick to the original point of why you were talking in the first place. Because you could be talking about, like, you really hurt my feelings, and then they'll bring you to something you did to them last week, and then I'll be like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry I did that last week." And
No,
then it
like
ends there.
15 years ago is
Yeah, or
usually
whatever. And then it's like, "Oh, I'm really like, I can't believe I did that to you." Like, and it takes you off course. Whereas it's like, no, I'm not talking about what I did 16 years ago. I'm talking about that you weren't nice to me right now type thing. You don't got to stick to the point. So that's it. It's stick to the goddamn point. Try to focus, because like there's so many things that are happening outside that'll get you off track
Mm.
and make you it's all such a big mind fuck, this whole world.
This, yeah, it is. Yeah, it
It
is.
is.
It really is. And so what I was getting to was like this
Oh
new
yeah.
age concept kind of sprung up, right?
Hmm.
In the early 1900s. And and so now there's this like counter movement, right? It's like the anti new age because people are beginning to see the deception within it. So
Right,
this
now
is
it's on the
how.
opposite direction.
Right. So now we're going completely in the opposite direction, and it's both unbalanced.
Right.
So we need to come back to the middle. We need to come back
This
to
is where we're at now.
this is where, yeah, personally, this is where we're at now.
We're
Coming back.
trying to come back to the middle, because it's like, both have, it's just like religion. The religion itself, like all religions itself, start off with a beautiful message. But then it just gets distorted, or it gets, yeah, gets distorted. And it's just like one end of the new age has beautiful messages, like love messages, like genuine love messages. But then, but they're not healed at all. And then you go to the other end where it's like, okay, you can't just be all love. You got to focus on, got to look at the dark, and then, but then it's all dark. Like it's too dark now. So now it's just like, okay, let's get the best of both worlds, where we can make good judgment on the love and light here, and but using this light to illuminate the dark, and using that discernment here to bring it to the middle. And so it comes together, and it's like, take what resonates and leave the rest. And then we're in harmony, which is where
Yay.
we're trying to be right now.
Yes.
It's like, like we cannot get so sidetracked by all the external jargon and stories and like distractions that are happening outside of us, which is what is an agenda in itself, right? If you can recognize that, to get you into all the hope and this is, the rainbow life, and we're all gonna ascend into heaven in the kingdom come, like beautiful angels are gonna like come and like violin like on a rainbow bubble.
Yeah.
But then it's like, what is our reality? Where reality is people are masked, people are getting shot, people are in fear, people are greedy. They have a lot of lack and scarcity mindset, selfish mindset, materialism, poverty. There are worlds where they don't even have water, healthy, clean water. Like, so, I mean, people are starving. All our food is poisoned. We have chemtrails. We have um, murderers. We still live in a world where there's just
Violent.
that violence and things like that happening. So it is nice that we want to live in this harmonious heaven, but there is this world too where people are still their consciousness is not ready to get here yet. So um how can we coexist together in this world, united without being divided, is really the question. And really what it comes down to, like what we said in our many videos, it's always about us and how we are able to bring both worlds and unite, by taking the light and eliminating the darkness, looking at um, the goodness of who we are and healing the shadows that lies within, the traumas that we have all been exposed to, whether it's generational, ancestral, experimental, like I mean through experience and in life as a whole. um, so I mean, yes, this is the collective consciousness reality that we are living in. So, I mean, I cannot compare my existence to, let's say, an African child that has nothing. So it's like, how can me and this African child come into a world of unity when we haven't even met ourselves, each other yet, in eye to eye, or there's just so much corruption in between our worlds. But again, they have their own stuff. And in my own perception, like an old perception would be like, this child is suffering, but usually they're not, because they don't know what we know in terms of materialism and things like that, because they
Mhm.
don't have that.
Mhm.
They don't, they survive with what they have, and
Right.
they make happiness
Yeah.
just based on what they have. So like for me, it's there's just so many. I find there's different pieces of the puzzle everywhere that we all need to gain, in order to kind of put it all together so that we can stand united. um but again, like, we are so far from the end game where we want to get to our bubble of heaven. Like, so it's, I mean, if you compare that life versus a material life, where success is, getting to that top end and living in your castle on the mountain. I mean, we cannot have an imbalanced world that way, where someone has like everything and someone has nothing. We have to kind of even out the whole score across all boards. But that also means that we have to even out the score on all boards in terms of our darkness and our collective trauma and everything else in between. So, I mean, by all those lovely things that we talked about, like with the med beds and the Nasara Jasara and the getting the president that we want, like, we have to completely take all of the destruction and the corruption out. That means, I don't know, I don't even know what that means. I can't wrap my head around it, because it's like we are in prison, and there's just so much of the world that we are in. This matrix world itself is so inverted that we would probably have to detonate the entire thing. Practically, we would
Just blow
we
it up.
would have to just blow it up, because you would have to get rid of all the governments. You would have to get rid of the court system, the all of the things that are governing us and giving us our rules and taking all our money, like, everything that we have been enslaved to has to be given up. So how are we going to get there if everything up there is corrupted? The people have to stand, right? So we keep talking about the people have to stand, the people have to stand. But if people are not sovereign enough to stand, what does that mean? That means that we all have to work on ourselves individually. So in that case, it's like if all the people were to work on themselves individually, work on themselves, work on their shadow work on healing themselves individually, then that is the only time that the collective will be able to shift. So yes, we live in our worlds where I have taken myself out of my all my prisons, well, majority of them, I would say like a good chunk of it. And so I still have to deal. I'm trying to make my life free alone in my world. So taking myself out of my own prison in this world, but there is still a collective world of prison that I am still part of, right? But I can only take care of myself at this time. Like, so unless I feel free and everyone else does their own part, then that is the only time we will be free. Does that make sense? I know it makes sense to you,
Absolutely. Yeah.
but it makes sense. It's just like we all have a responsibility. Like, even though we say that the world, like we need to help the world, we can only start by helping the world by helping ourselves. So yeah, even though the cliche is like, well, you have to love yourself first and this and that, you really do. You have to.
And
Because if you don't, then how the fuck are you going to take care of? It's just like, the people on the airplane, you got to put your mask on before your children. Because if you do it, if you take care of anyone outside of you or whatever, you're not, you're gonna die. Like, so it's like take care of yourself first and then you can do the rest.
Mhm.
So your
Beautifully said.
responsibility is you. Yeah, thank you. The end. Thank you. Subscribe.
Beautifully said. And I just want to say too that loving yourself isn't just fluff and rainbows either. Loving yourself requires you to do the hard things.
Yes. I've done, we both done a lot of fucking hard things, Tina and I. It don't feel like it. It doesn't feel like love when you're making a hard decision, like right the moment before you're about to jump. But there's something about that feeling of alignment that happens inside. I can't explain it. It's only something that people would only understand if they were to make a grand leap or just any decision that requires fear, like getting over that hardcore fear inside. So yeah, sometimes that's what it requires. It's not just like, oh, I'm gonna take a spa day. Like, that's cute, yeah, do it. But there's sometimes it requires much more than that, not
Yeah.
just a couple spa days. It's really just like if you're dying in your job, you might have to quit your job without, like a plan, or I'm not saying without a plan, but what I feel like when I made that decision to leave my job, everything just lined up, like how Tina said for herself. When she decided to leave um, her marriage, everything just lined up. Everything just it just kept supporting and supporting and supporting.
Yeah.
So it's the same. It's just like, finally you are your only block. You are the boulder in the way of, the flow of water coming through. And it's like when you move yourself out of the way, then the flow comes in and it really just opens up for you. Doesn't mean that your scared mind won't come in. It does at times, but I feel like it's a lot more quieter. It's really just like, let's just see what happens.
Mm. Yeah.
And it does take a lot of, like, for me, I did a lot of tapping. I do tapping every day. It helps a lot. Um, But there is a trust and a surrender portion of it where it's like you kind of have to let go where you cannot control. So when it comes to like the collective stuff, there's a certain point of resistance, like where you have to let go of that control and just go where you do have control, which is always you. Yeah. So if everybody took that responsibility of themselves individually, yeah, this will go a lot quicker. But again, it requires awareness and also like just willingness and complete devotion and commitment to yourself to have to look at the hard things, because as a collective, our traumas are really large and very painful.
Mm,
So yeah, it will require a lot of work.
yeah. It does require a lot of work. This is like where we're at now, and it's going to be the healing that gets us there. But everyone is, like you said, responsible for their own healing. And, I wanted to make this point too about like the imbalance here. And there's this idea that in the New Age thought that there's kind of like no such thing as right and wrong. And
Mm-hmm.
from a higher perspective, like from source perspective, that's true, right? Everything's perfect, everything's playing out like it's supposed to. But
But
we
rape's fucking wrong. Like, come
well,
on. Rape, murder, like hurting somebody,
yeah,
hurting your fellow, like that's fucked.
yeah, right. Yeah, and so, there are people going around trying to like normalize pedophilia. Like that's actually happening, like feeling sorry for the pedophile, like he can't help it. He's just this way. And that's fine. Like if people realize that about themselves and take responsibility and get help, that's different than someone that's out there preying on children,
Right.
So we have to find balance with these ideas of right and wrong too. Like everything we're doing right now is about finding that balance. And because what I feel like is happening now is the polarity is growing. It's
Mm-hmm.
getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah. We have to use our moral compass.
Right.
Have one.
Right.
We have one. If it doesn't feel right, it's not right.
Right.
Like
Exactly.
like someone just like hurting animals, for example. When I was listening to that today, I was just like, I was getting so sick. I know my face started, my whole body started changing. Like it was just like, ugh, why am I hearing that? I wanted to throw up. And I'm like, see, like that's a body reaction. This is like your soul screaming, your body screaming, like all together. It's just like, no, that's just doesn't feel good.
Not right.
So
Yeah,
that's
it's
just,
not right. It's wrong. It's
yeah,
just wrong.
that's
I don't
fucking
care
wrong.
what perspective you're looking from. It's fucking wrong. It's fucking wrong. Like, and we have to stop making excuses for this bullshit.
Right. And again, reiterating the whole thing about like, oh, well, we chose this on a higher perspective. Well, what we've learned, again, it's like so many infringements, so many darkness, like taking over our incarnations and our storylines and beings on the planet, and how perhaps they were supposed to act a certain way for our soul growth. But when it comes to like, raping a 2-year-old, and that's part of the process, and her storyline, that doesn't feel good. I don't know. It
No.
just feels like very reptilian to me, and
Yeah.
like a takeover of some
Yeah.
sort.
Yeah.
Like she was supposed to experience abuse, okay? Like let's say, like, but not rape. It's that's hardcore trauma where you split off, like because we saw that video about that lady who was raped as a 2-year-old, and she had like 90 personalities or something. And that doesn't feel good. Like
Doesn't feel
that
right.
doesn't that
Doesn't
doesn't
feel right.
feel like she chose that on a soul level.
Mm-mm.
That really feels like, again, if we understand the inverted matrix and what is taken over to for this matrix to be inverted, it requires a lot of dark beings, beings that don't give a shit about your sovereignty, that don't give a shit about your demands, and you know they'll take over. They'll make you sign a contract in your sleep. They'll steal you when you're incarnating, and like what happened to your brother and you. I think that's a genuine thing that we saw, or whatever the
Yeah.
idea. I can see that totally happening if we saw it, right?
Right.
And it's like they'll take you. They'll they'll make your storyline fucking difficult because they don't want you to evolve. They don't want you to ascend. They don't want you to expand and grow and come closer to God. They really just want to keep you buried in the fucking ground with the rest of them so
To
that they
feed
could
off
fucking
of us.
feed off of
They feed
you.
off of us.
They're
Yeah.
feeding off of you, your fear, your dissociated parts, um, whatever it is. It sounds really scary, but again, this is it, like we're coming to another level of like, okay, like as in our work with BQH and understanding like our incarnation stuff and reading into things and with the hypnosis books and blah blah blah, that we are able to choose our stories, our families, and this and that. I believe that to a certain degree, but then it's like, what, by knowing that no one is sovereign. Let's say if we didn't have this RSR work, okay, nobody is sovereign. Nobody knows it. Nobody knows that they're possessed. Nobody knows nothing. And then these dark beings are working through others and they're doing fucked up, torturous, abusive, disgusting things to each other. That's not part of the organic plan.
No.
Definitely not.
No.
So it's just understanding that there are major and intense things like a 2-year-old getting raped is not the organic plan. I don't believe that.
I don't believe it either. Absolutely not. Now, what we've seen in our sessions, because we work with a lot of trauma mostly in our sessions, is that, I mean, what I've noticed is that these lives are on a loop. This traumatizing lives are on a loop for these people, and they're always
Yeah.
a victim.
Yeah, when
They're
you said
all
that to me, I was like, ding, 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 you're fucking right. Yeah.
they're always the victim. They're always the perpetrators are always the same. It's always the same bad guys. And so how does that make sense that we choose that over and over and over and over again? How does that make
Yeah,
sense?
like to learn your lesson. And
Like,
it
yeah, to learn
but
that.
then it's like, yeah, like you said, I remember when Tina said, she's like, yeah, and then they give you amnesia and then you fucking forget. So it's like we're redoing the same storyline over again. You go in, you get abused, same bad guys, same good player, blah blah blah. You die, say I want to learn that again. You go back in, same bad player, same thing. You abused, you die. Let's go back and do that again. Same, and it's the same players again, over again.
Yeah. So something is really wrong there.
Yeah, they've taken over everything. So it's like you have to look at that too, or understand that, or at least consider that as a potential, especially in the world that we live in, or the universe, or whatever the hell it is. Like
Yeah,
just
who
knowing that
knows?
there's darkness everywhere, that the war itself is taking over where we are supposed to be planning our evolution and growth and coming in to fulfill that in a physical body, in a physical form. But if they're already like doing that up there with the
The
guides,
guides, yeah.
guides are
Talk
all
about that.
shit too. Yeah, like when I did a surrogate for Tina, like very early on,
One of our
I
first
think it was our
sessions.
first sessions together when I played surrogate for her. We were able to connect with her guides in her afterlife. So we saw a pretty intense scene as your native girl, right? And then there was a lot of murder that happened. I do believe that's real. Like I felt the genuine feelings of that. But then when we saw the life after, she got out of that body and went back to the afterworld where you kind of get your life review, they say, and blah blah blah. So we went there. And we met three guides of hers, one of them named Alexa, and she had red eyes.
And
I
then,
know what I saw. And Tina was at first was like, or I don't know if you caught it, but I know you caught it after, like not like right after you heard it or something. Like,
well, it didn't feel good. I don't think you told me until after the session that she had red eyes.
really, I'm pretty sure I said it in the session. But
Either
uh,
way, it didn't,
either way,
it,
it didn't feel good to her. But I know what I saw. You know,
right. But I didn't know that red eyes were a sign of a negative being until I took the spirit release course.
right? Oh yeah, right. Okay. So we saw three guides, and I explained them to her, like what their names were, what they look like, etc. Um, but yeah, this is back like when we, at least like, yeah, for me, I didn't question them. I was just like, well, they're guides, and the world's over, Earth is over, so they're good.
Right.
It's back up there. Like I again, no discernment there. No questioning. It was just what it was, even if they had red eyes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they talk about whatever. So
Well, they were saying that I chose these really hard experiences. They were even saying like I chose to have endometriosis and all the same kinds of things that you would normally hear. That it was
yeah.
all planned this way and
Yeah, you
all this
chose
trauma was
that.
planned.
Yeah, they put it on you like it's such gaslighting. Um yeah, it's all you that chose this, and because you can, they try to make you feel good about
Yeah.
yourself for
You
choosing
can
that.
do it. You
Yeah,
wanted to do
you
it all. You wanted to have all this so that you could
wanted to have a
overcome
hard
it.
life
Yeah.
because you wanted to evolve real fast. So they're trying to, like, pop up your
Ego.
self-esteem and your ego, like, good for you. So, it's just kind of like, okay, did I really have to suffer that much though? Because it's a lot. You're in pain for so many years, and it's like, why would I choose that?
And the root of a lot of my pain was the entities.
Right. So
Yeah.
they planted a whole fucking garden in her
Yeah.
and just erupted her, and which ended up being your vulnerability. It really is the physical pain and all of the stuff, like your sensitivity to everything. So it's like they totally took advantage of that.
Yeah.
And that's shitty
So
because it
what,
shouldn't have been so hard.
right. So what I'm thinking now is like, because some people say that the whole life review thing is BS and they're just reptilians or whatever negative beings posing as guides. And I think this incident was to show us that it's true, even though we didn't catch it at the
Right.
time. Looking back, we can see it now. I think that was to show us that that's actually might be
Yeah.
true, that the whole life
I
review
right.
might be BS and we just get tricked to coming back into earth again and to keep repeating the loop. So we do this life after life after life, and we agree to things. We sign these contracts that we think that we're doing a good thing. They make us think that we're doing a good thing. And then we just keep repeating it. And this has been happening this whole time. This inorganic system has been in place. It's not organic. So in the original organic matrix, yeah, we would choose some like
Yeah, like
difficult
I
things.
I do think you would be, do those things. Get a life review, do your things, but then it's supposed to happen exactly as you planned it, not to the degree where that suffering is like you'd rather die and kill yourself. Like I don't feel that's organic at all.
Yeah.
Looking at it, where you suffered so hard that you can't take it.
Mhm. Yeah. And some people even say, like, have channeled through that the children, you know, that are being abused in the satanic ritual abuse kind of scenarios, that they chose this as a soul to like help awaken humanity and
feel like they're just fish food.
I just can't, like, that's really, it's becoming hard for me. Like, I'm questioning a lot of the beliefs that I held around choosing these things.
Yeah, it's
That's
an
all I
old
can really
thought
say.
thing.
I can't really say what's true and what's not because we don't really know. But I just can't imagine that these children with these souls would sign up to be satanically, ritually traumatized and abused and
I feel like they're in the cycle of that
right.
being picked and good food. It's sick. Like it's part of the sick inverted world. Like just taken,
Yeah.
robbed.
Yeah, and I feel like sometimes like channelings like that, saying that the children if they chose this, it's almost like they say that to make us feel better, so we kind of stop thinking about it a little bit. Don't focus on that.
Right. Because that'll lower the vibration of the collective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, instead of being like fucking outraged, right? That this shit is happening. We're like, oh, okay, they chose it. It's okay.
Right. Right. Yeah, these things work through funny ways. I mean, like,
It's very subtle. It's very, very
well, or
subtle.
it could be very obvious. Like, when they work through me.
Well, it is no. In the beginning, it was very subtle because we didn't know.
Yeah, I know. But I'm saying like at least like in our relationship stuff, like they would like totally try to sabotage through like I was just good at that. And
Yeah.
it was very gross. It felt very gross. Trying to like split it, be like, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they work through everything. Like they'll really attack your vulnerabilities.
Mhm.
Mine was really just all my insecurities and stuff. So they would just go looping in on my brain and like implant things and yeah, they would just make me go crazy.
Yeah. They got me physically. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. So I guess the point of the video is to just,
Oh
again,
yeah,
discernment. Huh?
that's what it always is.
You
No, I was like, oh yeah, what's the point?
said discernment, protection, clearing, grounding, being aware, questioning things.
Question everything,
Even when we
everything.
say, like, I don't need you to believe everything that I say. I want you to know
No,
that. Like, I don't need you to believe me and I don't need you to agree with me. This is my truth and my responsibility is to share my truth. Um,
right. And if you're getting triggered by it, I mean, question that.
right.
That's good. Like, question why you're feeling that way. What is it telling you about yourself? That's where I would start. My inner compass is always how it makes me feel. So if someone says something to me, I have to ask myself, why does that make me feel that way? Why do I feel um chaotic or hot? I usually get really hot. So
Yeah.
yeah, I feel that a lot. And it's such a good way to clear out all your stuff by understanding why that makes you feel that way.
Hmm.
Because if you don't have a body reaction, then it's like, cool. There's nothing not clear, or it's just information that could just go, "Whoop, whoop."
Hmm.
It's hitting you somewhere. So look at that. I encourage that. That's how we clear ourselves. That's how we love ourselves. Ask, why am I feeling like that, baby?
Yeah. Anything you want to add?
Um, I don't know.
That was a lot.
Just happy today. Good today. It's a good day. It
Was
was a good week, I think. Yeah, I don't remember. I think it was a good week. I don't have no complaints. I went to my friend's house yesterday and she made me lunch. She's like, it's the first time she ever cooked for someone in a long time. And then after that, yeah, we went to go get buy champagne and we had mimosas. And then she needed to take a nap, and I was like, perfect.
That's when
Like we
you know
get
you have
together.
a good friend, like when you can take naps together. That's the
Yeah, she went in her bedroom and I went on the couch and I was just like, peace out. And
best.
then passed out. Like that was great. Yeah, I was sleeping and then I felt stabbing pains. I knew I was getting psychic attacked by somebody. I was
Oh,
able to
talk about
pinpoint.
that. Talk
I was
about
able
that.
what?
What happened? Like how you knew you were being psychically attacked.
Oh, I just felt it. I just
Did
know.
you hear it? Did you feel it in your body?
I
What?
felt stabbing points in the back of my heart, and I knew it had to do with the message I said the other day in our other video. It was in a waking state, so I was just kind of like in between, like awake and sleep. And I heard the name in my head, like I knew it was that person. So I was like, okay, get out. What are you doing? Get out. So I engulfed the pain itself and just blasted it with my own love energy. And I said, you may go now. Like, you don't need to be here. If you're mad at me, go be mad by yourself. Like, don't attack me.
Hmm.
Like, go look
Well,
at
what
that.
happened the day before with the crystal?
Well, the crystal, I have my crystal. It's my protector crystal. It's an obsidian wand. It's very beautiful. And yeah, I have a really good relationship with this one. I work a lot with it when we do RSRs, so it just protects me and I feel very good with it, and I carry it with me everywhere. So when I was doing that video with Tina, if you didn't watch it, please watch it. It's informative.
I'm passionate.
and and very passionate. Yeah, it's like whoa, like that kind of stuff at about the 57-minute mark. Um and yeah, I was feeling that person again, like very clearly. You can't hide from me, you can't hide from us. And this crystal, along with my other rose quartz one, was just on the bed. Nothing on it. There's just pillows on my bed and my laptop, but my laptop was on top of my pillows, but this was on the bed itself, so not even anywhere close. And when Tina premiered our video, um, feeling it again, felt that name pop up, the same one that stabbed me in the back of the heart. And when I went to go pick up my crystals, a huge chunk of it at the bottom was off. It like broke off. So this crystal was protecting me from getting that attack. And funny enough, actually, I just put that together right now. When I was getting stabbed in the back in my dream, this crystal was on in the kitchen on the table. It wasn't in my pocket. So
Uh,
yeah, I just put that together now. So this beautiful thing, yeah, took it for me. Whoever, you know who you are, and shame on you. Go mind your business and go look inward, okay? Because I know it's you. So it's just like, look at yourself. Look at yourself.
yeah, that's
Like, I'm
amazing.
not doing anything wrong. I did all the work. So I mean, if you feel like you need to stab me, go ahead and try. But you're the one who's getting triggered, not me.
Yeah,
So you just know. I just knew. I hear it. I've cleared so much stuff, people. We've cleared so much stuff.
yeah.
There's nothing in the way.
Well,
So I
that's the
I can hear, I know.
right, and that's the thing about spiritual gifts too that we were like talking about earlier, the competing to get your spiritual gifts. The more you clear, the more you heal yourself, they just evolve naturally. Like your discernment evolves naturally. Your clairvoyance and cognizance and audience evolves naturally, you know.
Right.
It always comes back to the healing
Yeah. So if
and
it is
clearing.
you, please comment down below. I'd like
Hear
to
from you.
know. Yeah, I'd like to hear from you. Have a conversation. Mano a mano.
Yeah, that's another thing you have to be careful about too, because people can a psychic attack is when someone is psychically, so mind to mind, sending like thoughts and intentions your way. That then, thoughts are actual things. They're actual creation. So when they get directed at you, they can affect you and your field, even physically. I mean, Karen, she was feeling like she was being stabbed in the back.
Yeah. And before I went to bed, like after I woke up from that nap, I had a major tension headache and I was super dehydrated. And what's it called? I went to bed, or I was going to bed last night. And so I took a little pill because I was just like, the Advil was just like, I need to get rid of this headache. And I took a bottle, like an empty bottle, and I kind of put it on my neck to lay down so that it was pressuring on that point to, and when I was doing that, I was asking um, to illuminate that stab space, and I felt it again, like as if it was happening again, so
Mm,
that I could make sure and clear it out while I was healing myself, healing my body, and regenerating my body.
mm.
So to get that energy out. I did it while it was happening to me, but I was at my friend's house, so like I don't want to spend, I wanted to take care of it properly when I was home. So it started again. It came up. I go, let me feel it again, so I know how to heal myself.
Amazing. Yeah. So people can throw all kinds of stuff at you. You could have daggers in your back, like etherically, daggers in your back, swords, spears we see a lot.
Yeah, spears and arrowheads and whatnot. But again, it's like, yeah, the whole thing about the comparison or not liking what other people have to say or getting really completely triggered by their message and whatnot. I mean, you
Because it
gotta,
conflicts with your beliefs, right?
yeah. And I
It's
mean,
fine. We don't
again,
need
you
to
don't,
believe the same things.
right. It's like, I like what our friend Jamie Bulry says. Love Jamie. She says, if you believe it, then it's true to you. Everyone can have multiple truths. There's so many truths around, like if you believe it, it's true to you. If you believe it, it's true to you. So why are you getting so upset if my truth doesn't match yours? Like, go ahead.
Believe what
I
you want.
don't, I just don't align with it. So this is my own truth. You don't have to believe me.
Right. Right. Our duty is to be authentic to ourselves.
Yeah,
And I
exactly.
think, I think what happens is when someone doesn't have like a super solid sense of self, they get put off kilter if you say something that's conflicting with what they believe. So all you
Right.
can do is be true to yourself, and
Right.
you can't worry about if what you believe is going to offend other people because they can change
And
the channel.
oh, trust me, like
Or
doing
split it.
this stuff, yeah, like doing these messages and stuff used to like be very difficult for us. It used to make us very uncomfortable that we had to like say something like, "Oh God, there might be that one person." Yeah, there was that one person, and they attacked me.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, I mean, I was just thinking about actually sitting here doing this video and how much more comfortable I feel even just talking about entities or implants or
yeah, it's
beliefs
great,
that go against the mainstream.
right? We
It,
are just so sick of like having to censor and being too afraid to say things because people are so fucking scared. But how are we going to evolve if we can't look at the hard stuff?
yeah, like
Let's get considering.
even just talking about like the chakras being a manipulation, like that's like, whoa, you know?
Right, but it's like, okay, anything. Your whole world. I mean, like people again are so stuck on like, the meme that I saw. It's like a whole lineup of people going to a lie that is comforting or whatever. They'd rather go to a lie that feels more comfortable than the truth that's going to hurt them.
Mm-hmm.
So it's
Yeah.
like I don't want to be on that line. Go hurt me, but as long as it's true to you or it's real, I'll respect that more. I'm
Truth
telling
has
you.
always been more important to me than feeling comfortable. Always.
Right. Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the moment that you're lied to, it's like you're always going to be like, oh my God, that fucking hurts even more.
Right.
It hurts so much more.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's like I'd rather you hurt me with the truth than with a lie.
Yes. Yeah, because then at least then you can process it and then move on. Because you're not sitting in someone lying to you and then worried that everybody else is going to lie to you. It creates a trauma
Well,
inside
yeah.
again.
And we're all traumatized from all the lies we've been told.
Right.
Yeah. I think that's part of that reaction too. Um, that to someone else's beliefs that don't align with yours, there's a trauma there that needs to be healed. Um, yeah, there's a trauma there, a big one.
Well, I think that's a wrap. Thank you again, Maureen, for being here, and JJ and Lisa and all of our OGs. Oh, she knows what OG means now, right?
Yeah.
You're an OG, Maureen. So if you see down below in the corner, it says OSG. So it's kind of that for us too. It's our secret code. Um,
Secret code.
it's a secret code.
We're not going to tell
People who
anybody
really
what
know
it
us
means.
know what it is. Huh?
We're not going to tell anybody what it means.
No.
Okay.
If you can
They can
guess.
guess.
If you can guess.
Yeah,
If
guess.
you guess down below and you don't have a copy of our book, I have a free ebook that I can give you.
Oh,
That's a nice giveaway. If you made
yeah,
it
I
back
like
here
that.
at the end.
Contest.
Easter egg. Hey, Maureen, you love the Easter eggs.
Yeah, who can guess what OSG means?
Yeah, I think I only told one person, so maybe if that one person's listening, which they probably aren't, be at the end. So yeah, that's it. I mean, that's a wrap for our video today. We appreciate you being here.
Remember to protect yourselves.
Yeah,
Clear ground to protect. And I'm
clear
going to
ground,
make a
protect. I
note.
write that down. Clear ground and protect. Read the article down below that Tina wrote. Set that intention. Just when you get up, ground yourself into your body. Make sure that you feel yourself come into your body fully, completely. Just set the intention. I'm going to put myself in a steel bubble, invisibility cloak. Like that's just the stuff I do. It's very easy. You could add more to it and go on with your day. Um, and also at the end of your day, make sure to release everything that you've picked up from the day. You release everything that is less than love. Come back fully and completely into your body. Close down your crown. Protect yourself again. Exactly. Make the dome, invisibility cloak, and the whole spiel that we were talking about before. Like you can make your prayer, your night prayer about your protection as well, about who you do not consent to have contact with, etc. Um, we can make an article about that, just like what we say at night. So if you
Bedtime
want to,
routine.
our bedtime prayer routine, so we can create a blog for that, and we'll say it in our next video when it's ready. But if not, like subscribe also on our website, quantumhealingwithtina.com, and you can get go to the blog tab and subscribe to our blogs, so that when the new ones come, you'll get a notification in your email.
Yeah, there's some good stuff in there too if you want to go through and check it out.
Yeah, we got lots of
Older blog.
stuff. Check out all our tabs. Tell us which one's your favorite tab.
What's
No,
your
we
favorite
just like
tab?
we just like to interact with you guys. Like we appreciate all of you who actually come and watch, and even if you secretly, I understand if you don't have like a Gmail account and can't subscribe, but um, it's nice to know. I've been hearing from people that they watch
Yeah.
or saying my wife watches. I'm like, oh, that's nice to know.
Oh,
Watches all your videos. I'm like, oh, that's cool. You know,
wow.
great, thank you. So it's just nice to know that we're in people's awareness and they're considering our reality as a maybe, like again, you don't need to adopt it. It's just what we really want you to do is go back home to yourself, trust what you feel inside is right, and question everything. That's all. Just have the openness to question everything with an open heart. That's it. And it's okay if it doesn't align with your old views. A lot of things have, trust me, if you watch our earlier videos and what we've channeled, not that align now. Like I don't align with that anymore. We've evolved so much since then to get here to where we have to be sharp now. We have to be take responsibility for the clients that are coming for who are asking help from us, and for ourselves and our family. Like you have to do that. Like it's just an evolution.
Yeah.
We learn, we grow, we take what resonates and leave the rest
Yeah.
behind.
I
It's
feel
like
like,
it's okay.
yeah, I feel like we like evolve so quickly, you know? It's like
Totally.
it's like I go back and watch old stuff and I'm like from a year ago and I'm like, oh, like what is
I
that?
know. I know, God. Like I feel like I'm less like weird looking and more like in more in tune and connected to myself, and but it takes like how many 160 something videos to get there, and I'm really proud of us for what we've done and accomplished from there,
Yeah,
because if we keep stalling because it's never going to look good or look perfect in our mind, it's like we're never going
right.
to make it. So I don't care what it looked like. I mean, I won't encourage you, but if you want to look back at the old videos and see how we were, like, woo, that gives me a body trigger. But it's like, but I recognize that.
I
Just
know.
kidding. But it's just like whatever. Like we had to start somewhere to get to here,
Right.
and I can't even imagine what we're gonna look like in 160 something videos from now, where we're gonna be so bright and shiny. Like maybe or maybe not. Like like we have to get somewhere, start somewhere, be somewhere, and respect yourself in that moment and evolve and
Right.
accept that you are not going to be the same. I am hoping that we are not going to be the same in 163 videos from now than we are today. That's my goal. I don't, and it's cool. So cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, I ran into an old friend the other day and she was like, oh, yeah, I've been watching your videos. I decided to watch them backwards. So I started with the first one. I was like, oh, God.
Yeah. Shit. Or when I'm there, you're like, "Are you ready?" I'm like, "Hey."
I was like, oh God, yeah, like instant body reaction. But I'm like, oh well, yeah, that's great. I guess it makes more sense that way, you know. Like for somebody who's like totally
Oh, who
not
doesn't know
into
anything?
any of this stuff. I don't that I know of anyway.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I guess it would make more sense to watch in order. But yeah, it's interesting, like how quickly you can evolve, like, and your beliefs can change, you know? Yeah. If you're open, you have to, like Karen said, have an open heart and an open mind and
Yeah. And
allow your beliefs to be fluid, you know,
yeah,
not
the
holding
world.
on so tight to anything, but allowing your beliefs to be fluid and like kind of like I see like everything like floating up in air and kind of like, you know, like juggling different things and seeing what feels right to you, you know.
Amen. Is that still a good to say? Probably not.
What?
Amen.
Amen. Who knows?
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thanks so much for hanging out with us. We really do love and appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you so much for being with us during our evolution.
Namaste.
Namaste. Bye, guys.
Bye.